Hi there. So my name is Laura. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. It means everything that I'm able to touch anyone, or if anybody sees this, that's all that matters. In due time, whenever it reaches you. Thank you for visiting the channel. I wanted to do a little bit more FaceTime for spiritual talks in the future. So this is us getting to know each other as well. So welcome. I read a lot of spiritual books, spiritual help books, just sacred knowledge, mysteries, mysticism, all kinds of things. And psychology books I read as well. Like, I read a lot of different things. So I'm reading this book. I'm kind of thinking that I might do book reviews on the books that I'm reading, because especially if they're really great, I feel like I should get that out there and share it. So I did want to do a video about all the books that were very pivotal in my spiritual growth and how I've gotten where I am today. I keep finding new, beautiful books. I have 3 new ones to read, and I'm trying to finish this one. This one takes a lot of a time. Why do I say that? Because the book that I'm about to introduce to you is like something you practice with. It's practice meditation. It's practice till you get perfect. It's like trying to put yourself under kind of thing. You don't just read it, take the knowledge and run with it. You work with it a little bit. So this one's going to take a little time. The book that I'm talking about is The Akashic Records by Ernesto Ortiz. Sacred exploration of your soul's journey within the wisdom of the collective consciousness. This is about how to access your Akashic records, but not just your own. This is about how to get to the Akashic records, and so you can access all kinds of knowledge. I'm not done with the book. I'm only halfway there. A little bit more, actually. So, I find it very interesting. It has a lot of things in it that I've actually never heard of before, which is thrilling. Always use your discernment, but it's thrilling, you know. And some things I have. So it really just depends on where you are in your path of exploration, on what you have come across and haven't. But I guarantee there's something in here that you've never heard of before. So I got to chapter 10, okay? Chapter 10 is a very short passage on forgiveness. And this is something that we all struggle with, right? We all go through this where it's really hard to forgive someone, or they always tell you, you know, you shouldn't hold a grudge, you shouldn't be vengeful, you should just let it go. And it's hard to do, right? It's hard. It's really hard. And this is something you have to do with practice. But at the end of the day, now I understand, because I went through this and I couldn't figure out. I was like, everyone says this, but how do you do it? How do I stop the way that I feel? Like, that's something that's really you can't. How do you get over that? Like, how? They never really tell you how. So what I learned for myself was my perception changed. When I started digging deeper into my spirituality and spirituality as a whole, I've learned that I was able to see things differently that had happened to me. The negative, the patterns, the things that, you know, that are just not good. And there's guilt too. There's guilt, and there's a lot of emotions that come with these things that are learning experiences for ourselves. But when you dig into it, you can really start to see things in a different light, a different perception. And this is what helped me be able to see, okay, this was a lesson. What did I learn from this? What can I take from this? How can I stay out of this? What was it within me that got me here in the first place? Let's work on that. When you focus on that, that will help you move along, okay? So I didn't want to just throw out that question and not have any kind of answer for you. But that's how it worked for me. That's my personal experience. However, I want to read this passage to you. It's only like 2 pages long. I feel like we can all relate to forgiveness, and some of us struggle with this, including myself. So I thought that this would be a beautiful passage for someone to hear today and to take with them. So let's read this passage, okay? Now first, it says, I'm going to give you this first. Here are several benefits of forgiveness: healthier and happier relationships, greater spiritual and psychological well-being, less free-floating stress, hostility, and anger, lower blood pressure, fewer symptoms of depression, anxiety, and chronic pain, lower risk of alcohol and substance abuse, increase in physical strength, immune system boosting, better digestion, relief from self-sabotage, friendlier, more tolerant state, and peace of mind. Now, when you look at these, I swear, when I was going through this, I don't have hate. Like, I'm not a hateful person. But when I was learning to forgive and understand even how to forgive and what that really meant, I was angry. Like, I had hatred. And I'm not that kind of person. I held that for so long that I was depressed and couldn't sleep, and I had anxiety. My body was starting to have effects. So I just want you to understand that your anger and how you feel and these things will come out in other ways. It will affect the rest of your life if you hold on to these things. And it's really good to learn how to let them go. So that was my personal experience. I was filled with hate, and I got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't want to feel like that ever again, and I needed a release. And how was I going to get there? And then that's when I just threw myself into spirituality, and it did so much for me. So let's read this. Lack of forgiveness holds people back, keeping them frozen in a memory from the past. It hardens the heart and keeps you from being able to love and to be loved in totality. A lack of forgiveness will sully just about every relationship you have, and it will hold you back in your spiritual progress. Almost everyone, if they have lived long enough, have been hurt by the words or actions of another. Perhaps your mother criticized you constantly. Perhaps your partner had an affair, or maybe a business partner betrayed you. These wounds can leave you with lasting feelings of anger, bitterness, and even a desire for vengeance. However, if you don't practice forgiveness, you may be the one who's continually getting hurt by continuing to live in the past. By embracing forgiveness, you embrace peace, hope, gratitude, and joy, and move with ease into the future. Forgiveness is essentially a decision to let go of resentment and thoughts of revenge. The act that hurt or offended you may always remain a part of your life as a memory, but the energetic imprint of that action doesn't have to. Forgiveness can lessen or completely erase that emotional imprint, which will in turn create the room for you to be able to focus on other aspects of your life. Forgiveness will lead you to new feelings and emotions, and will leave you with greater ability to understand and have compassion for both the one that hurt you and yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you deny the other person's responsibility for and ownership of his actions. It doesn't justify wrongdoings. This is important because, we don't want we're not saying it's okay. It's not okay. where am I? Okay. In forgiveness, you become fully responsible for your own actions and reactions to the actions of others, and you give the other person the opportunity to do the same. Even if this person is no longer on this earth, you are working with energy. So healing can take place with help from your Akashic records. You can forgive the person with accusing the act without accusing the act. Forgiveness brings peace and will help you go on with life. Now they have a personal experience. 1 second, please. I want to also interject something that I learned here. I believe I got this from the Chiron series, which is the Lee Carroll series with Chiron. If you don't know about that, I highly suggest, I recommend it. It has a lot of great information in it. I believe that's where I got this from. And he says, sometimes you even need to forgive yourself, okay? So sometimes we make a mistake or we hold this guilt for something that we've done. And you don't know what to do with it. It just like taints your life. It taints you in so many different ways. And it's really difficult. He says that if you can't talk to this person for whatever reason, let's say there's going to be they're not reasonable. We have people like that in our lives, right? They're not reasonable. You're not going to be able to come talk to them. It's going to blow up. It's going to go out of proportion. They're not going to understand you, that kind of thing. Or it could even be that you don't want to rock the boat more, or you can't get to this person because something you did was just, it may be too great, okay? What he says is, this is really beautiful because this will help you release how your guilt and your taintness and how you're affecting your own life every single day by holding this guilt. But also it helps the other person and they don't even know it. So this is what you can do. You can like go in a meditative state and you can talk, you can bring your higher self to talk to this person's higher self. You can call them and you can have this conversation, okay? This conversation, you have to really mean what you're saying though, or it's not going to help you. But do this a few times and I'm telling you, you're going to feel so much better because you are trying to make it better. You have learned your lesson. You are trying to reach out to this person even though you can't, right? For whatever reason. But they still get the message. And their higher self is smart enough to take this information and unlock or use it appropriately for the person. So you can talk your higher self to their higher self and say what you need to say and get this off your chest. And you can ask for forgiveness. You can say, please forgive me. I'm so sorry for this. And I'm telling you, because I have a situation like that in my life that I have extreme guilt over. And I couldn't go to this person. And the best thing to do for me to release it, to stop holding on to it, letting it affect my life and my mental state every day and my heart, was to do this practice. And I'm telling you, even if you think that you can't go to this person, this is a side note from the book, okay? I just feel like I need to tell you this because it's valuable information. It will help you release and forgive and feel better. And we hold all this. It's so heavy, right? It's so heavy and it affects so many different avenues of our lives. And I just felt like I wanted to share this piece with you today that I was reading. I just thought it was really, really mind-blowing and pivotal for somebody out there. And I hope that it finds the people that it needs to find in due time. But it made a lot of sense to me. And I would definitely check out Chiron as well. I'm going to read the short little passage on his personal note, his personal experience, and then I'll wrap it up, okay? On a personal note, About 10 years ago, I was working on issues for forgiveness. These issues went all the way back to my mother and included our subsequent relationships that failed me. I was exploring forgiveness in relation to all the romantic relationships that I ever had. Talk about a handful of work. Working with the Akashic Records and Masters asked me, out of these troubled relationships, what have you learned? Immediately, my mind rushed to all that I have learned from each one of them. Then they asked me to make a list of what I had learned. Following this, they asked me, how do you feel whenever you learn something that makes you grow, both as a man and spiritually? I immediately answered, it makes me feel good. I am always open to learning about myself. Then they asked me to identify an emotion that makes me feel good. As soon as this was asked, it was as if the floodgates that contained a waterfall opened up. I was showered with pure white liquid light that involved my entire body so intensely that I almost passed out. I lost track of time as I basked in the magnificent feeling of gratitude. When I came back from the experience, the masters were right there waiting to continue the conversation. When they asked me how I felt, I answered that I felt clear, free, empty, and loved. At that moment, I realized that gratitude and love are like brother and sister, and when one is developed, the other one follows. The masters then asked me, if you feel gratitude and love from what you have learned, then what is there to forgive? My answer was, nothing. By falling into the deep space of gratitude for the lessons I had learned and the transformations that had taken place, the need for forgiveness melted away as love, gratitude, and compassion took over. I saw that, for me, a greater capacity to love and live a life of freedom emerged. I continue working with gratitude today as I move into my future. That was the personal experience of this person with the Akashic Records. So if you want to dig more into this book, I'll link it below for you. But I just wanted to share this piece of forgiveness because we can all use it, and it's not always easy to do, right? It's not. I know personally it's not easy to do. So I really wanted to share this with you guys, and I'm thinking in the future I might do book review on really amazing books that I'm reading. So let's see how it goes. This one's going to be some time though, because it's a lot of work. But it does have some beautiful information in it. So I will link it. Definitely check out Chiron, the Lee Carroll series. There's so much information there though. I don't know where you would find what I was talking about. It's deep in there, but I thought it was really beautiful for that. So definitely try that if you're holding on to something that you need to let go of. What they say is really true, that it really hurts you more than it hurts them. Because if you think about it, these people are out here doing what they do, and do you think that they're losing sleep because they hurt you? No, not at all. But we hold it, and it's very harmful for us. So thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and I hope that this reaches those who need it. And I'll be back soon. Have a great day, everyone.